Nic White's emotional farewell. Wallabies versus British Irish Lions third test previewing. In a heartfelt farewell, Nic White is set to inspire the Wallabies as they prepare for the crucial third test against the British Irish Lions in Sydney this Saturday. The veteran scrum-half announced his retirement from international rugby, making this match a significant milestone as he dons the number 9 jersey for the 73rd time, a testament to his enduring legacy in Australian rugby. White expressed that the moment felt right to pass on the baton to emerging talents like Jake Gordon and Tate McDermott, who have taken the field ahead of him in the previous 2 tests. Wearing the gold jersey was a childhood dream of mine in Scone, and to have done it 72 times with one final opportunity on Saturday night fills me with immense pride. It's a privilege I have never taken for granted, White shared, reflecting on his journey. He continued, "Rugby has blessed me with countless reasons to be thankful. I've created unforgettable memories, forged lifelong friendships, and traveled the world in ways I never imagined." Coach Joe Schmidt praised White, calling him the ultimate competitor and highlighting his character. Nic is not just a great player. He's a fantastic person to have in the squad. He always puts the team first and has been at the pinnacle of the sport for over a decade, Schmidt remarked. In terms of team changes, Tom Lynagh will take the fly-half position, while the center duo of Lynagh Ikitau and Joseph Akuso-Suaalii remains unchanged. Dylan Peach steps in to replace the injured Harry Potter on the wing. The forward pack sees some adjustments as well, with Taniela Tupu taking over from Alan Alalatoa, who is sidelined due to a shoulder injury. Rob Ballatini will also miss this match, as the coaching staff carefully manage his recovery from a calf issue, which limited his playtime in Melbourne to just 40 minutes. Tom Hooper joins the loose forwards to partner with Queensland teammates Fraser McReight and Harry Wilson, who retains the captaincy. Zane Noongar has been added to the bench, while Carlo Tizzano and Tom Robertson have been dropped, resulting in a bench split of 5 forwards and 3 backs, including the returning Andrew Kellaway. Schmidt acknowledged the squad's emotional state following the gut-wrenching conclusion of the last test in Melbourne, where a controversial last-minute try secured the series for the Lions. However, he noted that the team has moved past that experience. They've started to regain their momentum as the week progressed and will be ready to face the challenge on Saturday, he stated. He also emphasized the importance of fan support, saying the backing we received in Brisbane and Melbourne was uplifting. "And I am confident that the crowd at Accor Stadium this weekend will again energize the players during those high-pressure moments we anticipate." With a sold-out crowd of 83,000 expected, the Wallabies are determined to avoid suffering their first series whitewash against the Lions since 1904. The Wallabies lineup is as follows: 15 Tom Wright, 14 Max Jorgensen, 13 Joseph Akuso-Suaalii, 12 Len Ikitau, 11 Dylan Peach, 10 Tom Lynagh, 9 Nic White, 8 Harry Wilson, 7 Fraser McReight, 6 Tom Hooper, 5 Will Skelton, 4 Nick Frost, 3 Taniela Tupou, 2 David Parecki, 1 James Slipper. The replacements include 16 Billy Pollard, 17 Angus Bell, 18 Zane Nongor, 19 Jeremy Williams, 20 Langhee Gleeson, 21 Tate McDermott, 22 Ben Donaldson, 23 Andrew Kellaway. Wallabies versus Lions Game 3. Live, teams, kickoff more, August 2nd, 2025. The rugby world is on the edge of its seat as the Wallabies prepare for their final showdown against the British Irish Lions in Sydney, a match that could etch history or mark a bittersweet farewell. After a thrilling series already decided in the Lions' favor, this third test isn't just about trophies. It's about pride, legacy, and a send-off for Wallabies scrum-half Nic White. But here's where it gets controversial. Does a series already won deserve the same intensity as a must-win clash? Let's dive into the details. When and where to watch the Wallabies' final test. Mark your calendars for Saturday, August 2nd, as the Wallabies and Lions lock horns at Accor Stadium in Sydney. The action kicks off at 8 p.m. AEST, with pre-game coverage starting at 7 p.m. AEST on Stan Sport, streaming live and ad-free. If you prefer traditional TV, Channel 9 will also broadcast the match, with coverage beginning at 7:30 p.m. AEST. This is more than just a game. It's the Wallabies' chance to close the series on a high note and honor Nic White's contributions. The stakes: a clean sweep or a rocky farewell. The Lions are eyeing their first series sweep in over a century, a feat that would cement their dominance. For the Wallabies, it's a chance to prove resilience and send White off with a final act of defiance. But here's the twist. What happens when the trophy is already in the bag? Does the pressure shift from winning to legacy? This debate is brewing among fans, and we want to hear your take. Should a series-deciding victory matter more than a symbolic farewell? Full fixtures. What's next for the Wallabies? After this test, the Wallabies turn their attention to the Spring Tour, where they'll face South Africa twice, Argentina, and New Zealand. Here's the breakdown. July 6, Wallabies versus Fiji, 1:30 p.m. AEST, Newcastle. August 17-24, Wallabies versus South Africa, 1:10 a.m. AEST, Johannesburg, Cape Town. September 6-13, Wallabies versus Argentina, 2:30 p.m., 2 p.m. AEST, Townsville, Sydney. September 27th, October 4th, Wallabies versus New Zealand, 3:05 p.m., 5:45 p.m. AEST, Auckland, Perth. October 25th, Wallabies versus Japan, TBC, Tokyo. November 2, 9, 16, 23, Wallabies versus England, Italy, Ireland, and France. International fixtures. Team lineups. Who's in the starting 15? Wallabies 15-1. Backs: Tom Wright, Max Jorgensen, Joseph Akuso Sualili, Len Ikitau, Dylan Pietsch, Tom Lynagh, Nic White. Forwards: Harry Wilson, Fraser McWright, Tom Hooper, Will Skelton, Nick Frost, Tanela Tupou, David Parecki, James Slipper. Replacements: Billy Pollard, Angus Bell, Zane Nongor, Jeremy Williams, Langy Gleeson, Tate McDermott, Ben Donaldson, Andrew Kellaway. Lions 15-1. Backs: Hugo Keenan, Tommy Freeman, Hugh Jones, Bundy Aki, Blair Kinghorn, Finn Russell, Jamison Gibson Park. Forwards: Jack Conan, Tom Curry, Tyg Bairn, James Ryan, Maro Itoje, Capt, Tyg Furlong, Dan Sheehan, Andrew Porter. Replacements: Ronan Kelleher, Ellis Genge, Will Stewart, Ollie Chessum, Jack Morgan, Ben Earl, Alex Mitchell, Owen Fangle. Final thoughts. What's the real story here? This match is more than a numbers game. It's a celebration of Nic White's career, a test of the Wallabies' spirit, and a chance for the Lions to etch their names in history. But let's get one thing straight. Does a clean sweep really define a team's legacy? Or is it the heart of the fight that matters most? We want to know your thoughts. Drop a comment and share whether you believe a series-deciding victory should carry more weight than a symbolic farewell. After all, rugby is as much about the stories we tell as the scores we tally. Nic White's legacy, a scrum-half's journey to international retirement. Nic White's announcement marks the end of an era for Australian rugby, one that's bound to stir nostalgia and debate among Wallabies fans. His decision to retire from international duties after Saturday's final match of the Qatar Airways British-Irish Lions series closes the chapter on a career defined by resilience, close calls, and big moments. But this isn't just a farewell to the Test arena. White, Wallaby number 875, will officially retire from all professional rugby at the conclusion of the 2025 season. And this is where it gets interesting. Some say he's leaving at exactly the right time, while others wish he'd stick around. Where do you land? Growing up in Scone, White first picked up a rugby ball as a 12-year-old, cutting his teeth with the Maitland Blacks. His high school years at St. Gregory's College in Campbelltown propelled him toward the next level. Despite an injury keeping him out of the 2008 Australia schoolboy squad, a blow for any aspiring player, He bounced back to represent the Australian U20s at the Junior World Championships in 2009 and 2010. Determined, he joined the Brumbies Academy by 2009 and debuted in Super Rugby 2 years later. It was a rocky start, with injuries interrupting his early professional years, a storyline that will sound familiar to anyone who's followed White's journey. One of White's career highlights came in 2013, when he steered the Brumbies to the Super Rugby final. But controversy found him once again. A shoulder injury kept him from facing the Lions in the same year, only for him to bounce back and debut for the Wallabies against New Zealand later that season. From there, his reputation as a difference-maker grew, particularly after a nail-biting performance against the All Blacks, where he kicked a crucial penalty and sprinted in the winning try, clinching the 2015 Rugby Championship. Not many players can say they've literally decided championships in the dying minutes. Does this make White one of the Wallabies' clutch players of the modern era? After 2015, White set off for Europe, spending 5 seasons refining his craft away from home, before rejoining the Brumbies in time for a career-defining 2019. He scored a sensation try in Australia's resounding win over New Zealand, earning his first call-up to the Rugby World Cup in Japan that same year. The momentum didn't stop. He was a driving force in the Brumbies' 2020 Super Rugby AU title and celebrated his 50th Test cap against England in Sydney in 2022. Among teammates and coaches, White's leadership stood out. Between 2020 and 2022, he started 22 of 30 tests, a sign of trust from Wallaby selectors and proof of his ongoing form. He returned to World Cup action in 2023, moving to the Western Force ahead of the 2024 Super Rugby Pacific season. For a player who once missed out on a chance to face the Lions, the full-circle moment came in 2025, starting for the Force when they kicked off the Lion series at Accor Stadium. White's final matches included his 72nd Test appearance, a victory over Fiji, right in front of a home crowd in the Hunter region. So, as the Lion series wraps in Sydney, White remains with the Western Force, preparing for the Super Rugby AUS competition beginning in September. But here's the twist. While some praise his timing, others argue Australia could use every ounce of his experience leading into the next whole Rugby World Cup in 2027. Will this handover period help cultivate new talent, or does it leave too much to chance? Reflecting on his career, White shared emotional words. Wearing Wallaby gold was his childhood dream, and the privilege of 72 caps is something he'll always cherish. Rugby, he says, has given him friendships, memories, and travel beyond his wildest hopes. He notes the historic rivalry for the Wallabies' number 9 jersey and the thrilling prospect of fresh talent growing into their own. Now, family calls, with more time ahead for his wife Mel and sons Leo, Sonny, and Vinny. White also jokes about repaying all those supporters, maybe with a tab settled at rugby clubhouses and local pubs from Canberra to Perth. Wallabies head coach Joe Schmidt's tribute was straight to the point. White's a consummate team player, fierce competitor, and the heart of the group for over a decade. As his journey nears its close, here's the debate. Should White have stayed on through the next World Cup, or is this the right time to make way for the next generation? Does his comeback from setbacks make his story an inspiration, or should his injuries have prompted an earlier farewell? Share your take below. Does Nic White's chapter end at just the right time, or will the Wallabies miss him more than they think?